Thank you for joining us. Now, let's get into the conversation now. A neat attempt to soften the hearts of many Nigerians opposed to fuel subsidy removal. The federal government last week announced that it had secured an $800 million World Bank facility for fuel subsidy removal palliative to be disbursed through cash transfers to about 50 million Nigerians who belong to the most vulnerable category of society. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, while explaining why subsidy must be removed, noted that subsidy has cost the country about 250 billion naira monthly, with a conservative estimate putting the cost of subsidy to the country over the years at almost 50 trillion naira. However, the organized private sector has raised concern over the $800 million loan the federal government has secured to cushion the effects of premium motor spirit subsidy removal on poor Nigerians, saying that additional debt is not needed at this time. The country is weighed by huge indebtedness. So let's make more sense of this issue, as well as dissect the pros and cons of the fuel subsidy saga. Discussing this with me live on the show is an oil and gas expert, as well as the Director of Tax Reporting and Strategy from PricewaterhouseCoopers, Akinduyite, who joins me from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Ayo. I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on the program.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me. Good morning to our listeners.
Yeah, good morning. It's good to see you. How much of the 800 million palliatives provided by the World Bank will be, how much of impact would this have on this scheme? And if you look at the fact that the way the government has said that this fund will be utilized, look at the cash transfer of where they say it is going to be 5,000 naira per Nigerian. Look at the mass transit. So talk to us about this.
Yeah, well, I think the idea of having palliative is a good one, but in terms of whether this is the right approach, I think that's debatable. And most of the critics of this approach have, complained about the huge debt profile of Nigeria, and this is only just going to worsen the situation. So this is not the first time we're having some kind of interaction with the cash transfer or some kind of welfare scheme. This government from 2015, in the first term of President Buhari, and he has continued in his second term. How effective are these cash transfer being? I think, the jury is out there. And in my view, I'm not sure if this will be a very effective palliative, particularly coming from a loan scheme. How will this translate to being able to repay the loan? So I tend to align with the position of the organized private sector, expressing some concerns. Probably maybe it's something we need to look at very closely, and maybe look at alternative options. So just giving people free cash, how does that improve productivity? Is it possible that this loan could have been channeled to more productive sectors, maybe the agricultural sector, or address some of the hiccups and challenges we have with agriculture, in terms of post-harvest losses, generally improve productivity, So for me, I think that would probably be, a more preferred approach, using the loan to improve our productivity, then we will have a hope that in the near future, we're then in a position to pay back the loan.
I know much conversations, of course, will still be ongoing around, how the government is going about it. You also talked about productivity, which of course is key. But are there any plans to expand the cash transfer programs beyond their current scope? Because we understand that it's going to last for 6 months and 800 million US dollars may not be enough. And if so, what will be the criteria for eligibility and how will the funds be distributed? That's one conversation or question we need to start asking. So what's your opinion about this?
Really, those are some of the concerns, that we have with the defining and coming up with a scheme like this. How are we sure? How transparent will the process be? Will there be a form of tool or reward for political patronage and support? Or do we have a system that will ensure there is fairness and everybody that qualifies for it will be able to access it? Then what happens in 6 months' time when the effects of deregulation is fully at play in the economy? Of course, inflation is likely to accelerate. We're already at double digits, so it's probably going to worsen that. So cost of living is likely to go up. So again, I'm not sure that the managers of this economy have really thought through this idea, and then they have really been able to come up with an idea, that works out, for the benefit of Nigerians.
In your own opinion, what would be the best approach that the government can adopt to implement this? Because there are some who are saying, look, 5,000 naira to Nigerian, it's meager. It's not much as much. But if you want to give Nigerian 1 million naira, that will amount to about 2 million if you have to divide 800 million US dollars. So it means that every Nigerian can take 1 million naira home. So let's look at the best approach in your own opinion. What can the government do?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think it's a good idea to think of having palliative, because clearly, even without removing the subsidy, Nigerians are facing very hard and difficult times. So removing subsidy is then likely to compound that. But having provided that background, in my view, I think I would suggest that we need to look inwards. We have many Nigerians that are earning very little and are not able to survive. Many don't even have jobs. But we have a few, particularly the political class, that seems to have more than enough. So can we have a framework where we're able to do a bit of redistribution? For example, some of the benefits that go to the political class, we're looking at a budget of, several trillions. And what percentage of that budget goes to finance the lifestyle of the political class? Can we look ourselves in the face and say Nigeria is a poor country? So as a poor country, should we be seeing this level of luxury lifestyle financed by government? So if we can able to take some of these resources and then use it to finance the palliative, and the kind of palliative I like to see will be palliative that support productive enterprise. Nigerians are not lazy; they are willing to work. So if government is able to come up with framework where let government pay its workers a living wage. So I think that should be a good place to start. You can't peg minimum wage at 30 naira a month, and then you want to deregulate petroleum products, and then want to sell at the same price at what other countries are selling. The question is, what is minimum wage in those countries? So government needs to up its game, start up with paying your staff, pay them a living wage, and you then see the trickle effect of that in the economy. Then support, create an avenue that would encourage more productivity. The agri sector is an easy way out. How can we position ourselves to play a more active role in the agri sector, and in the oil and gas sector? At the conference where I am attending at the moment, the conversation has been around the decade of gas, using gas as the engine room for the development of Nigeria. Can government do more in that area? Can we unlock the value in that space?
Okay, let's wrap it up now. Before I let you go, let's wrap it up with this question. There are those who are saying, look, the price of petrol will rise as much as 700, 800 naira per litre by the time these subsidies removed. What's your outlook with regards to subsidy removal? And in your own opinion, do you think the incoming government, because that's exactly in implementation is supposed to commence when we have the new government in place, do you think they will be able to face the pressure that may come from, as a result of the implementation?
I think it is a function of the way the government is able to react and then come up with appropriate policies that will mitigate the pains that will come with subsidy removal. Clearly, the time to remove subsidies is yesterday. The best time is yesterday, and the next best time is now. We can't afford the subsidy regime. We've wasted significant amounts of our resources in that for the purpose of subsidizing PMS. Why are other countries, other developed countries, why are they not subsidizing PMS, at least to the extent that Nigeria is subsidizing it? So clearly, the right thing to do is to remove subsidy, but removing subsidy is not the only thing, right? When you remove subsidy, it is expected that this will translate to some additional resources that is now available for government. We don't expect that the incoming government will continue with the current practice of using the significant part of public finance to take care of politicians and our political leaders. We need to then begin to think about how do we address and make sure this goes to the benefit of all Nigerians, particularly the poor.
Okay, I think a good place to leave it. Thank you so much for your time, Ayo Akinduyite, Director of Tax Reporting and Strategy for PricewaterhouseCoopers. Thank you for coming on board.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
You've been watching Business Breakfast. We're broadcasting live from our studios here in Lagos. Still to come after the break. Nigeria's food inflation rate hit 24.45% in March from 24.35% recorded previously. Now that's our conversation when we return from this break.